They believe that now, after nearly 100 years of precedent, that the very left-leaning state Supreme Court will allow an income tax. So there's a lot of talk at very high levels. We haven't seen the details, but they're talking about a income tax, and they pitch it as an income tax that would only affect high earners. They say it's going to be 10%, which is nearly the highest in the nation, but only on folks above $1 million with adjusted gross income. And I want to point out that doesn't mean high earners. That means all, not just high, it does include some high earners, that's true, but also includes probably nearly every LLC or S corporation in our state. It's not at all unusual to have, show on the books a profit of $1 million in a fairly small company. But that is anybody who's been involved in a small company knows that money doesn't just show up. It shows up as a tax liability for the owner, but that mo most of the time that money is kept in the company, in the LLC, in the S corp for working capital, for reinvestment. Sometimes that tax liability isn't covered entirely from other sources of revenue. Sometimes they just distribute enough to cover the tax liability. But adding another 10% to the thousands of small businesses around our state who are in that category and by no means wealthy or uh, killing it, as they like to say. They're just the bread and butter of our state's economy. This is a pretty harsh tax. Additionally, it's a very complex thing, and many of those same businesses maybe do business in Washington and also outside Washington, where they would be paying an income tax and wherever they're delivering their services or products. That means, without an enormous amount of work to get the bill right, our companies in Washington could be paying double tax on the products they deliver. Simple outcome there. They won't be competitive. They will lose business, and ultimately many will fail, I suspect. So this is a bad idea, and I didn't even get to the best part of this. This is an idea that's been put forward in our state to voters 13 times. 13 times the voters have said no, we don't want an income tax. And then finally, the voter, individuals around the country. If you look at migration levels. No, it's very clear. People of all income levels, for many years, have been moving from tax states to non-income tax states. That used to be true for Washington until we raised every other tax. Now there's virtually no migration into Washington. But for years, people came to Washington because we had an attractive tax situation. We no longer have that even without an income tax. But the Democratic majorities, they don't really believe in the wisdom of the people. They think they just know better and they can do it better. And this is headed for disaster, I suspect.